So welcome to the first ever Hearthstone meta breakdown. I'm Ecor, and I'm going to tell you basically everything that's going on in the Hearthstone meta, whether it be the popularity of decks, what decks are doing well, and I'm going to be using two different sites, Vicious Syndicate and Hearthstone Replay, to help back this up. If you guys like these kind of discussion videos, let me know. Without further ado, let's jump into it. So let's start off with the Hearthstone Replay statistics, and we're basically going to go over mostly Diamond through Legend stats because the pool is large and the players are pretty skilled, although not top Legend. And then we're also going to cross-reference this with some of the stats in top 1000 Legend, and then I'm going to tell you how to beat some decks and if I'm worried about them in the meta. So let's talk about Aggro Druid and Secret Libram Paladin. I'm not super worried about these in the meta. Do I think these are really good decks? Absolutely. They're obviously ridiculously strong. But in top 1000 Legend, Aggro Druid's win rate drops by 4%, and Secret Libram Paladin's win rate drops by 4.5%. Which leads me to believe that, hey, if you know what you're doing and you're playing the proper decks, you can greatly hinder the ability of these decks to win, and in a certain sense, you can kind of farm them. Like, I've played a lot of Quest Mage, well, not a lot of Quest Mage. I played a lot of Quest Warlock, a decent amount of Quest Mage, and a lot of Face Hunter. And I'm able to beat at least Aggro Druid very consistently. You just control the board with something like Fire Sale or Soul Rend or your minions if you are playing Face Hunter, and the Druid has no way of doing direct damage to you, which means you will eventually make them run out of resources. Secret Libram Paladin is a little bit harder to beat in my opinion, but has a little more like clear outplay in the sense that if you silence a minion, revolve a minion, bounce a minion back to the hand, you can easily get rid of the Librams of Wisdom and slow them down immensely. Also, they don't have the most minions in the world, so you don't need to wipe the board as many times. And both of these decks are very susceptible to board wipe decks with clear closeout and other decks with good board presence. So Death Rattle, Demon Hunter, and Face Hunter I think do very well into these decks because you're able to compete for the board, and even if you're losing, Death Rattle, Demon Hunter, and Face Hunter both have a few more ways to do direct damage than these do. They have weapons, Illidary Inquisitor, and in Hunter's case, obviously direct damage spells in their hero power. So now let's talk about tier 2, and specifically one deck in particular, Face Hunter. Face Hunter is the best deck in the game, and you can't convince me otherwise, and let me convince you before you jump to any conclusions. This deck should not be a 53% win rate at Diamond through Legend. This is the deck that I used to get to Legend and ended up personally going 31 and 13. I ended up doing very well against Aggro Druid, which I'll get into in a second. I went 5 and 2, and with the previous version of this deck last season, where I ran a Kolkar Pack Runner, I went 6 and 3 against Aggro Druid. And if you look at the statistics, you're supposed to lose. And now let me tell you exactly how to beat Aggro Druid with Face Hunter most of the time. You become a control deck. Seems weird, but you have direct damage from hand. The opponent, the Aggro Druid, does not. So even if you just control the board over and over and over again, and occasionally hit them in the face, trample over with Trampling Rhino, trample over with the Piercing Shot, hero power, hit them with spells occasionally, you will get them low enough to, by the time they eventually get some extra board presence, let's just say turn 6 or 7 when they play a Loon, the 2-3, and then Greybow for the ridiculous combo, they will already be so low that you just kill them with direct damage the next turn. So I don't think this matchup's actually as bad as it shows. And then, if you actually go to top 1000 Legend, it's the highest win rate deck in that tier because it does really well against every single combo deck in the game because it has a lot of damage from hand and a lot of early pressure, which a lot of these decks can't deal with. So overall, best deck in the game. It does well against basically every deck except for Libram Paladin and Control Warrior. I will admit those matchups actually suck for you, but overall very strong. And the other thing I would say is Elemental Shaman is strong for the same reasons. It's got good direct damage with whether it be Doomhammer, Lightning Bolt, or the elementals that like do 3 or 4 damage, while also having good board presence. You just become a control deck into the aggro matchups and let your direct damage late game do the work. So next we're going to talk about the bottom level of tier 2, and the main decks I want to talk about here are Quest Rogue, Big Warrior, and Quest Warlock. Now, these decks, when you go to top 1000 Legend, actually all raise or stay about the same in win rate. Quest Warlock goes from 51 to 52, Quest Rogue stays at 51.5, and Big Warrior goes from 51.5 to 51%. But these are all still solid decks because they will, at least Big Warrior will be pretty much every single aggro deck if you know what you're doing because they have a ton of armor gain and control, and then you cheese out big minions. Cheesing out big minions can actually do pretty well, especially if it has Divine Shield Taunt. It can do very well against things like Poison Rogue or Quest Warlock, which don't have insane removal for like 1 minion. It can do okay against some other decks as well, although it can be a little bit slow against some combo decks. Then we talk about Quest Warlock, which is arguably one of the strongest decks in the game. If you know what you're doing and you're just not greedy, and you can control the board hard and play to survive to the late game, as opposed to greeding to try to get extra value out of like a Flesh Giant or something, you are going to win games with this deck, which is why it bumps up in win rate in tier 1. And Quest Rogue, it's kind of hard to play, and you need to know when to trade and when to do damage in the face. So there's like decision making you have to do there. But if you learn how to play Quest Rogue efficiently and know when to go damage and when to go for control and wait for scabs, this deck is very good as well. I think that all of these decks are higher skill cap, but can be very, very solid. And the last decks on this list are Quest Mage, along with Poison Rogue and Garrote Rogue. And this is actually for 2 different reasons. The Rogue decks are on this because I think that they're fairly strong, and they're actually really strong when you get to top 1000 Legend because they're able to beat other combo decks. Garrote Rogue is much faster than other combo decks, but has no real board control. But if people are playing less aggro, you're able to play Garrote Rogue, outrace the other combo decks, and win that way. It's just really, really hard. And Poison Rogue, unless people are running weapon removal, you're going to kill them on turn like 6 or 7 almost every single time with your damage and your poisons. On the flip side, Quest Mage does really, really, really bad once you get to the higher ranks because people are kind of specifically trying to kill it. It's very popular, it's fairly cheap, and it's something that everybody knows that they're gonna have to deal with at some point. So everybody techs in cards. Everybody has a strategy to deal with Quest Mage. So I would recommend playing the Rogue decks once you get to Legend and stopping Quest Mage once you get to Legend because people know what they're doing against it. But if you're playing it anything lower than Legend, so literally Diamond 1 to Bronze, I think Quest Mage will be good because people will just get frustrated they're playing against it, and you may even get some just free concede wins. I know I've definitely had my fair share of those. So let's quickly talk about the popularity of these decks real quick and just show you general trends. Like I said, for Quest Mage and Aggro Druid, their win rates drop off heavily once you get to Legend, so it's no surprise that they have a high play rate throughout basically every rank up until Diamond 1, and then drop off by 5% and 9% respectively. The deck that I want, or the 2 decks I want you guys to mainly focus on right now for once you get to Legend is Garrote Rogue and OTK Demon Hunter, both of which have a low play rate going into Legend, but then once you get there, the play rate spikes up by 3.5 and about 5%. The other deck I want to talk about, one last one I promise, is Face Hunter. And Face Hunter, like I said, is pretty solid at every single level and doesn't see that much play, probably because it's not the most like entertaining deck to play. But it is good at every level. It's one of the more popular decks in Legend because it's so strong, even if people don't necessarily realize it. And then the last deck here is just going to be Quest Warrior. They're free wins, eat them up. The deck actually is not very good in my opinion. There are a lot of different builds out there, but it's definitely pretty weak, so just enjoy the free wins against Quest Warrior. So yeah, that's it for the play rates and the Hearthstone replay statistics. If there's anything else you want me to go over next time I do a video like this in the Hearthstone replay section, let me know. I don't really want to go over region by region because that would take too long, so this is more just like a general overview kind of thing. And now let's go to Vicious Syndicate, which will probably replicate very similar information, but let's talk about it. All ranks, Quest Mage is the most popular, followed by Druid, and then Face Hunter is the next one. But if you go, if you change to just Diamond 1 to Diamond 4, Taunt Druid and Quest Mage get an even larger portion, going from 17 and 14% to 18 and 18%, I'm rounding here. Then once you go to Legend, you'll see Face Hunter and a lot of the other decks like Rogue and Warlock and Demon Hunter go up quite a bit, whereas the Druid and the Mage fall back down a little bit. And then in top 1K Legend, Face Hunter stays consistent. Druid stays consistent, which is a little bit strange to me, but I'm pretty sure it's because there's a higher percentage of Anaconda Druids as well. Lifesteal, Demon Hunter, and Rogues go way up, and Quest Mage goes way, way, way down because people are specifically trying to beat it. Then once you go to, I'm gonna just jump right down to the power score just because I think this graph is really interesting to look at. If you go to Diamond 1 to Diamond 4, Taunt Druid is the best deck in the game, arguably. I still think Face Hunter is, even though they put it way down here, but the only reason it's down here is because its frequency score is fairly low. Aggro Druid, its power score, I don't think its power score is quite 100. I think that has some clear counterplay, and Mage is actually a very weak deck. Like if you go to the power score here, Quest Mage is actually pretty low. It's in tier 3. It's not a very strong deck, especially once you get to the higher levels of play, but it's played so frequently that it's like meta score is still relatively high, and it's the second highest one. Taunt Druid, about the same. I definitely think it's stronger than Mage, but it is also kind of carried by the high frequency score. And then once you go to just Legend, Face Hunter gets a huge spike from 55 going up to 77. The biggest spike of like any deck in just Legend. And then top 1000 Legend, Face Hunter goes up even more and is the second best deck in the game, only losing to Miracle Garrote Contact Rogue, which isn't really that surprising. Hand Warlock going up quite a bit as well, and Lifesteal Demon Hunter going up a pretty decent amount as well. So yeah, that's my argument for Face Hunter being the best, because it's actually good at every level of play. And once you go to different levels, the meta does change a little bit. And you can kind of see like the low-key shift once you go from Diamond to Legend. And then like you have a clump of Legend players, and then you go from Legend to High Legend. You can see that like transition of Aggro Druid and Quest Mage going down, along with some of the other aggro decks like Libram Paladin. Libram Paladin goes down to 56, whereas the more skill-intensive decks like Warlock and Rogue, and Face Hunter, not really, but Face Hunter included, start to go up a little bit. And that's basically all I'm gonna go over for the Vicious Syndicate. They just have a lot of cool visuals to help show the things that I'm talking about. They have some cool graphs, they have some cool tables, so it just makes it easier to explain some of this stuff. And yeah, that's basically it. If you guys enjoy videos like this, feel free to let me know. I would be more than happy to talk about this stuff in the future. I absolutely love discussion videos like this, so if you guys want to see more of them, again, like, comment, subscribe, and tell me what you guys would like to see in the future. I would love, absolutely love, to improve upon this video idea, where I can go over something like this every single week. I just want to hear what kind of information you guys want, because this is stuff that I would personally want. But if there's something I glossed over that you guys would want to see, let's just say you want me to go a little bit more into matchup differences or something along that nature, I could maybe do that and drop one other segment, or just make a even longer video. Up to you guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. See you in the next one. Bye.